Welcome. Today we will be discussing why the war on drugs has been a complete and utter failure. The war on drugs has been a complete failure because it disregards human rights and the laws in place to protect them. It has created a racial bias in our police which threatens the lives of many Americans. And there are many better alternatives, and too many better alternatives to justify keeping it going. To combat the war on drugs, the justice system has created laws that allow police to act unlawfully. The Crime Control Act, forfeitures, and these have led to unwarranted arrests. The Crime Control Act created a forfeiture fund for law enforcement to put the received goods from citizens. These goods can be anything from money to other forms of property. A forfeiture is property seized by law enforcement without any cause or compensation to the owner. This allows police to take any property without the consent of the owner on suspected drug charges. These charges need no evidence, and the property is never mandated to return to the owner. Law enforcement keeps it and profits from it. Law enforcement is encouraged to do this. It's not just your property that's in danger. You can be arrested and sentenced to prison for just being suspected of being part of a drug deal. This would be considered an unlawful arrest. It is shameful that an American citizen can be arrested even when no evidence is provided. A major concern and issue that surrounds the war on drugs is the racial bias seen in law enforcement. According to the 2004-2005 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, about 2.6 million African Americans and 13.6 million white Americans over the age of 12 had used illegal drugs in the month prior to the survey. This means there are about 5 white drug users for every African American drug user. However, there are twice the number of African Americans compared to white Americans in prison for drug charges. This seems a little unfair, don't you think? These numbers clearly indicate a racial bias among law enforcement. It is absolutely unacceptable that there can be such injustice in the justice system. On top of the racial profiling, the drugs seen as poor/minority drugs receive a harsher sentence than their more expensive counterparts. To receive a 5-year prison sentence, 500 grams of cocaine powder are needed, yet only 5 grams of crack cocaine is needed. There's clearly a racial bias going on here. Lastly, the thing that really shows the failure of the war on drugs is the success of alternative approaches. A wonderful example of an alternative is the one taken in Portugal. Portugal decriminalized drug use and treats addiction as a medical issue, not a criminal act. This approach has meant that drug users can now hold jobs and become normal members of society. Thanks to this approach, Portugal has seen a decrease in drug users and drug-related deaths. Thank you for watching. Please continue to oppose the war on drugs.